Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to the Accountant's Minute podcast. This week, our title is Helping SMEs Thrive, Systems for Business Growth. This is based on Accountant's Minute, edition 393, that's available on the ESS BIZTOOLS website, www.essbiztools.com.au. 91% of business owners recently surveyed by Smart Company indicated that growth is their main challenge. The path to achieving growth, I think, is through having implemented appropriate systems. I don't think too many SME business operators are going to have the time or the experience to prepare a whole range of systems within their business, especially those that relate to financial, commercial, management, accounting type issues, the key information that businesses need. That's why larger businesses employ accountants and chief financial officers, partly for the preparation of the monthly financial accounts, of course, and the tax returns, but primarily to assist in analysing data to give information to the leadership team. So for SMEs to thrive, they need structured processes that you can provide for them to help deliver these types of services. So this is a role extending beyond compliance, which I think is very exciting for bookkeepers and accountants. Bookkeepers, because there's projections from the Australian government that there's going to be 5.5% less bookkeepers in the next few years as technology takes over more and more of the basic work. And there's also going to be a drop-off in work for accountants, especially accountants handling wage and salary earner tax returns, and small businesses, very small businesses. And that was a forecast made by the now retired tax commissioner 2.5 years ago. And he said within 3 years things were going to change. Well, we're getting very close to that now. So you might want to really think about what services you're going to offer your clients. I think there's a tremendous opportunity for bookkeepers and accountants to upgrade your services. Now, before you say to me, oh, that's a lot of work and we've got to create a lot of new systems and do a lot of hours and weekends to create it all, you don't have to worry about that. We've created that and it's all in part of our system. So you can pay your subscription, which is reasonable, and offer the services. And if you're offering the services, you'll be able to charge your clients for it. So all of this is about implementing the right systems to help your clients run their businesses better. So where do you start? Well, I think at the very beginning is where you should start. And that is where you look at the overall structure of the business. What makes it tick? You need to understand the business far more than you currently know, I suspect, if your role's been to prepare the annual accounts and the taxation return. I've struck accountants who, when I ask them what a client's debtors days outstanding is, they look at me and say, I don't know, we don't calculate that. Yet that's a vital bit of management information that the SME should be looking at least each month, and using it as a guide to work with the leadership team and everyone in the business, really, to make sure that debtors are monitored and followed up, phone calls made. Perhaps the manager in charge of the activity doing with that customer's got to go around and make a visit to get payment, but it needs to be a priority. Yet that is not an issue when it comes to preparing tax returns, is it? So this is the reason, as a profession, we need to know a lot more, because this is what you would be doing if you were employed as a full-time accountant or chief financial officer in one of your clients' businesses. I know I've been a chief financial officer and company secretary of a listed public company, and also I've been the senior partner of an accountancy firm. So I've seen it from both sides. And there's no doubt that if you're working for a business as the accountant or chief financial officer, you know a lot more information about what is happening within that business, because you need to look at the risks that comply to that business. You need to be looking at the business opportunities. What are the arrangements with new customers? How are they going to pay you? What's the arrangements with suppliers? Who's authorized to place the orders and make the payments? So it's the internal control systems that are very important. So therefore, we are very emphatic on the need, if you're going to be offering financial, commercial, management accounting services to your clients, which are the key components of advisory services, I think you need to take a few hours, and in some cases it might be a couple of days, to go through and look at what is the business, analyze it, work out where the weak links are. You might be surprised, and your client might be very surprised when you give them some feedback on their internal control system, so that you will understand what happens in that business, 1 inch wide but a mile deep. It's very important. And after that, we're ready to start the strategic business planning process. I think business plans are vital for every business. And you can create a lot more activity in your firm by talking to your clients. You need a business plan because it identifies what your strategy is. And if some of them are a bit hesitant, ask them what they do when they're planning a holiday, if they're going to be driving anywhere in Australia. It's normally long distances. They create a plan of some sort. Now, they mightn't write it down every time. Some people do. Some people are very methodical, of course, because they're working out their accommodation. They're working out where they can get fuel. And these days with electric cars, they might be working out where they can recharge their electric cars, especially once they get out of the big cities. So that's planning. And the whole idea of a plan is that periodically, I think every month, there should be a review. We said we were going to achieve this by the end of the first quarter. What have we achieved? Well, we've got to now make it a real priority to get it finished. So a stock take can take place. The next thing is establishing, as part of the business plan, a rhythm of meetings. I think it's been proven in all size companies that if there's a rhythm of meetings implemented daily, weekly, monthly, the business can run a lot more effectively. When meetings are called on a haphazard basis, it doesn't really work. So you should be saying to your client, a daily meeting, perhaps only for 5 minutes, just to check is everyone's all right, was someone called in sick, and what's happening in that team. If that team leader's off sick today, is there an assistant? Does that person know what's got to be done today? Were there any real issues from yesterday? Was there a shock? Is something not right that perhaps someone should be starting to look at straight away? So that can be raised. Some businesses have breakfast meetings. That's up to you if you want to propose that to your client. But it's very important that the team comes together, cup of tea, cup of coffee, as early as possible in the start of the day and communicate. And if you've got branches, you can do it using products like Zoom and get the input. So 5 minutes, it's all over. There should always be someone, though, who is the minute taker at every meeting, the daily meetings, brief minutes, so that if there's something that has to be action, it can be immediately sent round. Then we go to the weekly meetings. Well, the weekly meetings' prime role, I suspect, will be to review the weekly performance report. And we'll come to that in a moment. It's very important. And then you've got the monthly report. And the monthly meeting should be looking at the financial accounts, the comparison to budget, the key performance indicators, the business metrics, and then making a report that would go to the board of directors or the board of advice if your client's company has them. And then we move into the predictive accounting reports. So we've prepared the business plan. And the important point is that the predictive accounting reports, budgets, key drivers, the all-important key drivers, which is looking at vital sub-accounts, inventory of raw materials, inventory of completed stock, debtors, creditors, capital expenditure, research and development projects, employment costs, perhaps developing overseas markets. So you've created an overall sum of money and you want to keep track of how it's going. Important sub-accounts, which otherwise just get hidden in budgets and no one's really got any key data that can be compared to it, because you need to know what the debtors' days outstanding is projected to be. And very importantly, what's it been budgeted that and what is it currently? I've seen situations where I look at a budget and the budget, okay, says 32, 33 days, debtors' days outstanding. And then you look at the actual accounts for the previous month before this forecast was prepared, and debtors' days outstanding is 47 days. And you say, hang on, how are you going to get it to go from 47 days to 33 days in 1 month? That's just not practical. So you need to be looking at things. And the other side of that, of course, can be creditors' days outstanding. The creditors are tough to deal with. They've got key products that your client needs, and they are enforcing their payment terms. They want to get paid every 30 days or whatever it is. So the actual creditors' days outstanding might actually be 31, 32 days. And if you look in the budget forecast and have a good look in the key drivers on creditors, and you see that it's, when you calculate it, it's sitting on 50 days, you've got to shake your head and say that's not realistic. Because you've got to be hard on these issues in the formulation of budgets and cash flow forecasts. Because the key objective is to find out if there is a looming problem and then take steps to fix that problem. So if someone's overstating their creditors' days outstanding and understating their debtors' days outstanding, the problem's going to rear its head in the cash flow forecast, isn't it? And that needs to be examined, because in actual trading, they won't achieve those figures. Creditors will be wanting to get paid a lot more promptly than what the forecast had, and debtors will take longer, unless significant improvements can be made in the debt collection process. Now, that might be one of the objectives, of course. So the predictive accounting reports are very important. The budget should be for each business operation, not all lumped together in one consolidated one. You lose the ability to interrogate the actual results if you put it all into one. You can prepare a consolidated budget report if you want to. And the software developed by Plan Guru, which we utilize, enables that to be done. But I like breaking it down. I don't care if there's 100 business activities that your client's operating. Prepare the individual budgets so that you've got something you can be comparing actual performance back to at a later date. And then we move into the 52-week business enhancement system. This is very important, because our belief is that we should be running our businesses and reporting and analysing week by week for the 52 weeks in the year. Not just looking at the results once or twice a year as accountants looking at your client's work, because that suits the taxation return lodgement. You think about it. We go for a full financial year, that's 52 weeks, and then it might be 4 or 5 months after the end of the financial year before anyone in your team really sits down and starts looking at this client's records. So that's another 20 weeks. That means since week 1, it's 72 weeks. And if something went wrong in week 1 and wasn't picked up and corrected, it's continued right through. So the 52-week business enhancement system is built around daily, weekly and monthly reporting. Daily might be just a one-page report which goes to the leadership team. Sales yesterday were this, average sale was this, bank balance is this, debtors outstanding balance is this, key payments to be made this week. If they were in a production facility where they're calculating yields and some other sort of percentage report, they could have that there. That gets circulated to the leadership team. They're kept informed. The weekly and report within the 52-week business enhancement system is the weekly performance and profitability report, a vital report. It's what the big end of town produce. Woolworths, Coles, IGA stores, all the meat industry. I know that because that's the industry that I was involved in a public company. Produce weekly reports on each of their business operations. Why? Because it's the best way they can control those activities. They've got budgets. They know what they think they should make. By calculating the weekly performance and profitability report, you can determine the result. There's a few estimates go into that of expenses, but you know the sales, you know the key expenses, wages on costs. You know a lot of the other costs, rent. If you've got an advertising budget, so there's information that in our forms, our templates, you slot that in, and very accurately what the result was for the week. Now, if the result came in that a 22% gross profit percentage was earned and your budget was 38%, what should then happen, and what happens in larger companies, is an immediate review. What went wrong? Now, it could have been a clerical error. It could have been the stock take was done wrong. It could have been that a major purchase that had been made that was going to be specialed in this week's activity hadn't turned up because of floods or transport difficulties. And that's all right, and it could be fraud. But you know what the problem is, so it gets fixed. It doesn't continue week in. This could have occurred in week 1 of that 52-week period of the year, and that problem could have continued for the next 52 weeks and then the next 20 weeks before you suddenly said to the client, geez, your gross profit percentage for the year's dropped. We thought you'd be up around 37 to 38%, and you're only down around 22, 23% for the year because some mistake was getting made somewhere. Invoices weren't done right. The charge to the client wasn't being done right. And we could write textbooks on experiences over the years of these sort of problems so they can get fixed. The financial health of the business is analysed monthly if you're in a good system. So you can analyse the balance sheets and really look at those things like key performance indicators and calculations on things like debtors days outstanding. What's the cash flow forecast saying? So all of these components are very important. And if the companies that Smart Company analyse are going to achieve their business growth, they will need these systems to be implemented. They're not going to do it themselves. They need your input. So I'd urge you to think about it and see what you could assist to scale up. ESS BIZTOOLS has a full system. We've got 4 major product packages. The advisory intro is primarily targeted at bookkeepers and accountants who have not previously offered advisory services. You want to get started. You might be one of those accounting groups that you think the former tax commissioner may have been giving you some direct advice at the time when he suggested you become the trusted advisor to businesses. You're going to need resources and tools to do that. Now, you can sit down and spend 1,000 hours and write your own, if you like. Or you can subscribe to our package, which is concentrating on giving you the resources to deliver everything that I've just talked about and a whole range of other activities. We're presenting a special webinar on the 20th of February, Thursday, the 20th of February at 10 a.m. AEST, 11 a.m. AEDT, where we're going to be looking at the advisory intro package and a few other things. So that if you are a bookkeeper or an accountant that hasn't really got into business advisory services previously, and you want to have a look at it and try to work out whether you can make a go of it with your clients, you can communicate with them, why don't you join us? It's complimentary. To register, just go to our website, please, www.essbiztools.com.au. You'll see webinars. Go onto there and register for the webinar on Thursday, the 20th of February. And if you're interested in what the next package up might be, that we call that the starter package. And we're presenting a webinar that's themed on the starter package on Thursday, the 27th of February at 10 a.m. AEST. You can join us for both of those. Go to our website now. You can click on and register. So I hope that this conversation on what can be done to assist accountants to grow their businesses, but grow in a properly planned basis, not just a great burst of enthusiasm and energy and a lot of money getting thrown around and suddenly finding out there's no money left. We want to have it on a planned basis so that there's continual reports being prepared so that the results can be scrutinised week by week throughout the year. Mistakes can be found, corrected, make sure they don't reoccur again. Not having to sit there with a client months after a problem occurred and saying to the client, well, there was an issue there. There was a change in the journey that your trucks were running, and it added an extra 450 kilometres to the trip. And obviously no one told you, and you didn't adjust your charge out for that service. I actually was involved in a reviewing a business that had happened. And it wasn't just one truck, it was 14 trucks a day going backwards and forwards that no one picked up. Everyone thought the boss knew. Also highlighted the lack of internal communication. Should have been, didn't have to be the managing director's role, I don't think, to correct that. But that's what happened. So that's what happened when businesses haven't established these firm systems that people clearly know what their duties and responsibilities are. So thank you for joining us. If you've got any matters you'd like to discuss with me, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and I'll be happy to have a complimentary Zoom meeting with you. And if there's any other matters relating to the supply of services to help you to deliver financial, commercial, accounting management type information to your clients, please don't hesitate to contact me. Stay safe. Have a great day.